Hurricane season is here, and MDOT wants to help you get out of harm's way. Visit gomdot.com/hurricanes to download free resources. Find your nearest hurricane evacuation route by downloading MDOT's Hurricane Evacuation Guide, which maps out more than 20 different hurricane evacuation routes. Need help packing your go bag? MDOT's Hurricane Emergency Checklist offers a full list of items to include. Don't wait for a storm to threaten. Prepare today.
MDOT presents the Extra Mile Podcast.
Welcome into another edition of the Extra Mile Podcast presented by the Mississippi Department of Transportation. I'm Paul Catul, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Will Kraft. We've been out there on the road a little bit with the podcast. Happy to be back in the MDOT studios. We're going to talk to one of our outstanding MDOT employees, a man with a very long title, Jim Willis, the Director of the Office of Intermodal Planning and Highway Operations. Jim, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Well, I appreciate the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, and we like to get started with our new guests, just to ask you a softball question. So who are you? What do you do? Existential question there. But for real, in your role with this title, what exactly do you do at MDOT?
That's a great question, and I ask myself that about every morning when I get here. It's kind of a hodgepodge. I get to work with a lot of great divisions within MDOT. I've got traffic engineering and research and planning, highway safety, and then of course you have the intermodal side of it where we work with the rails, the airports, ports, and public transit. So really a hodgepodge of activities, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It provides you an opportunity to do a lot of different things on a lot of different days. So it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, and talk a little bit about, so this is not day one for you at MDOT. You've been here for a couple of years. Your journey and starting out at MDOT to get you to where we are now.
Oh, what a fantastic ride it's been, and it's just been a pleasure. I'm one of these people where I get bored kind of easy. So, with having so many different stops along the way, I started with MDOT in '98 in planning division, did that for a few years. Had the absolute pleasure to get to start MDOT's safety program. That was out in traffic engineering division. Took me a few years to kind of figure out exactly what that entailed and how to get it done. Awesome job. It really gives you the opportunity to try things that most people in the country don't get to try.
Sure.
And so, if you've ever seen something on the roadway, especially years back, and you said, man, I wonder what idiot did that. Well, it's probably me, right? So you get to do a lot of different things. Now if you see something, it probably wasn't me, but
yeah, absolutely.
I might have told them to go ahead, though. So after traffic engineering, MDOT formed its own highway safety division, so the safety program kind of moved over there. I had ITS also and rails, and then moved up to assistant chief of operations, and that was great. And then, fairly recently was asked to kind of keep everything I was doing and pick up the intermodal side, which has been a real treat. So, and what a great ride.
Yeah, no, and I'll segue right off of that. Keep talking about your ride here. So, moving into the intermodal world when you took that job over. So, a little bit of a change of guard, if you will. We had Mr. Carr, Charles Carr. Shout out to Mr. Carr. Hope you're doing well out there. But been at the agency for a long time. He retired, and you moved into that position. And then it's sort of become a little something more, I guess, over the last maybe 2 or 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, one is, like you said, a shout out to Mr. Carr. What a man of great character. So those are almost impossible shoes to fill.
Sure.
A guy with 40-plus years in government. Luckily there, toward the end of last year, I had the chance to pick his brain. He probably got so sick of some of my ridiculous questions. But you can't let a guy like that get out of the building without getting as much information as you can. So, yeah, the modes did kind of gain a little momentum in the legislative session of 2023. MDOT has typically always gotten or provided about $10 million to the different modes to do kind of enhancement projects across the state. And in 2023, and that was the Multimodal Transportation Improvement Fund, and about $10 million a year. In 2023, the legislature created a new fund called the Strategic Multimodal Improvement Fund, and that was $30 million funded in that first year. So again, something great, something new. You have the opportunity to create a new program, work with people to kind of mold it and provide the vision for the direction, to try to generate the best opportunity for economic growth. And, selfishly as an MDOT person, you're not going to meet many of us that don't want to take freight off of our roadways and put it onto other modes. So,
sure.
Another great opportunity. But yeah, that program has gone well. We've got another $10 million that was provided in 2024 by the legislature. So we're looking forward to getting our hands dirty and starting that off again very soon.
And let me make this, because this was a question that I had actually as you were coming in. So those are two distinct, different programs now that are still running, though, correct?
That is correct. And they have similar but different sets of rules for both.
And I guess the context there, we're talking about pre-show, the old intermodal program. I don't think I said that since we've been on air here. So, yeah, you got the two programs. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's one thing to point out, the old multimodal program that was $10 million a year, that was really only available to public carriers. And when I say carriers, I'm really referring to more the ports, airports, and rail side. So the strategic multimodal, which was the $30 million, and then in 2024 an additional $10 million, that is actually available to private entities. So some of your larger privately owned railroad companies, for instance, could apply for some of that.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize that, actually.
There you go. So if you haven't picked up yet, we are not just the highway department, a very holistic approach here when we talk about transportation. Kind of want to go back a little bit of a career question, but we ask a lot of internal people that on the podcast. So you are a lifer at MDOT basically. So kind of sell working at MDOT to someone that's maybe getting out of school or close to getting out of school and wants to get a job in engineering.
Yeah. So selfishly, when I originally started with MDOT, my plan was to only be here maybe 4 years, get my PE, and then move on, try to pursue other opportunities for myself and my family. And then once you come to MDOT, and you hear everybody talk about the MDOT family, but once you come to MDOT and you get to know all the people around, you become part of the team and you see the dedication and the quality of individuals that you have, you don't really want to leave. It's such a great place to work. And we talk about the MDOT family. I never really thought about it, but at one point in time, I had 4 or 5 family members that were also working at MDOT in different places. So it truly is like a family environment. And depending on, the divisions you're in, I'm sure they're all like this, but in all my spots, you get along so well with your coworkers. It's a treat.
No doubt. And I mean, there's something like you're kind of talking about. There's so many different areas that you can get into here, and that might not be the case at maybe a specialized firm or something like that.
Oh, in civil engineering, there's not a broader field or a area that provides work in different fields like MDOT does. You can literally put your hands in almost anything. MDOT does it. Again, I've mentioned some, your typical engineering, you're thinking roadway design or you're thinking bridge. Everybody in school wants to do truck structures. And, I was always kind of attracted to some of the other sides, and I've gotten to get my hands dirty in those, like traffic engineering, doing traffic studies. I mean, I've worked with railroads for 10 years before I ever had the intermodal job. Got to work with the Intelligent Transportation Systems program for a long time. Got to start the highway safety program. Early in 2022, the federal government provided money for states to start constructing EV infrastructure.
That's right.
And you got to do some initial dabbling in that. Just there are so many different pots that you get to play in when you come to the department. I hate to use that term, but when you enjoy what you're doing, it is a lot of fun to come to work every day.
No doubt. Co-sign that.
That's right. And again, that coming from a guy who has been here for more than a couple days. So you've definitely seen some things, been a part of a lot. Very cool, though. Great answer for us. We're going to chop that and just start playing that at our recruitment events.
Definitely.
Just put the splice in there, man.
You say I've been here a couple of days. It's unfortunate, and it puts a smile on my face, but half the time I still think of myself as a young guy. But
you are a young guy, man.
Half the times
Absolutely.
now I'm like the oldest guy in the room.
Yeah, we got Roy in here today, man.
Thank you, Roy.
You're taken care of. Well, with that, we roll into the fun questions, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Take us away, Mr. Kraft.
Fantastic. Yeah, man. So if you've listened to the show before at all or watched us on YouTube, we like to eat and we like to get food. We like to go out and see some places, and we love music. So we always like to ask our guests a couple of fun questions. Maybe the most difficult questions of your interview, to be honest. But what about a favorite musician or specific concert?
Okay, so that's a tricky one for me. I've really enjoyed music my whole life and played some music, and I span many genres of music.
Respectable.
Love it.
Anywhere from back in the early years to doing a lot of Texas blues and classic rock. Kind of helped me pay my way through college a little bit doing that.
Awesome.
All the way to now, embarrassingly perhaps what I listen to most, and that's metal.
All right.
Love it.
Respect.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the best concerts. My wife and I earlier this year went to crazy name concert called A Sick New World out in Vegas. I think that was April or May, and it was nothing but all-day metal bands, and it was fantastic. Had a great time. I was there. My wife and I were standing there. We'd been there probably 30 minutes when some people came up, and multiple people said, "Wow, you guys really don't look like you belong here."
Come on.
It's not about how you look. It's just what you enjoy, right? But that was great. I've had the privilege, being older, got to see the Allman Brothers and Little Feat a long time ago. That was great. Back in the late 80s. My wife loves the Foo Fighters. Not one of my favorites, but got to see them in Slane Castle in Ireland. So that was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was great.
All right.
Very much enjoyed that one. Just a good environment. You won't have the opportunity to do that every day,
No,
so you
that's
have to
right.
take advantage when you can.
That's excellent answers, man.
That's probably the most genre spanning answer we've received, and maybe the first metal answer, perhaps. So maybe we've had one.
I think one Mr.
person.
Kevin down on the Coast Transit Authority. So maybe something with you Intermodal guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Public buses down there. Yeah, I think he was a metalhead as well. No, right on.
go.
Excellent answers, man.
Good stuff. All right, so the other part of that Will mentioned is food. I know you live in Jackson. There's plenty of places out there to grab a bite to eat, but let's expand it. Any place, maybe in the state of Mississippi, that you enjoy eating at when you're on the road or traveling with your family.
So I'm fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. I eat anything and everything, right? So
There you go.
you can put me on the coast and I can eat seafood. You can put me up in God's country, Starkville area, and I'm happy to
Come
hit
on.
the old favorites like the grill or, man, I eat it all. It's a little trickier when we get back to the local area.
Sure.
I have 3 kids, and it's hard to get something that everybody enjoys. But one thing that we can all agree on is we all like Italian. So
Okay.
locally, you might find us at Amerigo's probably once a week, just hitting some light local Italian fare.
There you go. Is that the one in Fondren? Is that a solid? Is it living up to the name over there?
I've only been to the one in Fondren once, but
Okay.
it was good. Usually we're hitting the one in Ridgeland.
In Ridgeland, I gotcha. Good stuff. We won't say no to some Italian food
That's
for
right.
sure. Equal opportunity when it comes to food. Jim, thank you so much for stopping by and giving us some information on what you do here at the DOT. And I want to do a plug. If you want to start a great career like Jim and rise to the top, visit gomdot.com/careers, and you can find all the jobs that we have available. Come be an engineer, anything you want here. So thank you for joining us.
Appreciate y'all having me. Thanks again, guys.
Absolutely. We'll close things down here. We want to thank our listeners, our viewers for tuning into the Extra Mile podcast. You can watch and listen to episodes by visiting gomdot.com/the extra mile. Follow us on social media at Mississippi DOT is the handle. We want to thank Roy Atkins for stepping in and producing editing today. And remember to drive smart out there on Mississippi highways.
Thank you for subscribing to the Extra Mile Podcast. Help us out by leaving a review and a 5-star rating wherever you download the show. After leaving a review, slide on into our DMs over on social media at Mississippi DOT and let us know. As a thank you, we have compiled a Google Map list of all of our guests' favorite spots to eat on Mississippi highways. It is our gift to you. Seriously, you guys are the best. We could not do the show without you, and we greatly appreciate the support. Remember, drive smart out there on Mississippi highways.